Good evening, everyone. I would like to start by respectfully acknowledging that all members of our group are located on the unceded ancestral territory of the Syilx Okanagan Nation. Today, our group that consists of Erik, Shawn, Abhinav, Ben, and myself, Amarveer, would like to brief you on the key elements we should consider when preparing our consultation for a wind power project that will impact the Tk'emlups sh-Wep-muhc Indigenous community. We will start by giving out some background information, followed by the impacts of the renewable energy project on the location of the community, and we will close off by giving you the approach to consultation with this community. I would like to start off by giving you some background information. The members of this community are of the interior Salish Secwepemc speaking peoples of the British Columbia. They were previously known as the Tk'emlups Indian Band. This community is within the sh-Wep-muhc Nation Tribal Council, that is a First Nations tribal council in the Canadian province of British Columbia. These people occupy a vast territory of the interior of British Columbia. This traditional region stretches from the Columbia River Valley along the Rocky Mountains, west to the Fraser River, and south to the Arrow Lakes. Most of the people in this community live within the river valleys. It is governed by a chief and a group of 6 councillors. These councillors are assigned the following sectors within the community: housing, education, natural resources, title and rights, legal and community services, planning and education, business development, lands, leasing, and taxation. I would now like to hand over to Abhinav to take you through some more information about this community.
Thank you, Amarveer. I would now like to talk about the geography and culture of the sh-Wep. A common language and similar culture and belief system united all the various communities in the Syilx Nation Tribe Council. The community was driven by the nation to promote and ensure the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being of the people and community. In the past, pre-contact, basically referring to before European contact, Kamloops' economy consisted of 3 main sectors, which were number 1, fishing of salmon fishes, number 2, gathering of roots and berries, and lastly, hunting. In today's date, there are over 200 direct jobs that have created and generated more than $200 million worth of regional economic activity. After the colonial government got divided into 17 groups, the land area of TEKUMLUPS TE Secwepemc community was about 134 square kilometers and is surrounded by the Canadian Rocky Mountains and is located at the junction of 2 rivers named South Thompson River and North Thompson River. There is a total population of just over 1,405 people within this community. Culture is a big part of TEKUMLUPS TE Secwepemc community, and it is the songs, dances, ceremonies that keep the Secwepemc tied to the land, reminding the people of their responsibilities. To add on, Secwepemc believe that all living things have spirits and must be shown utmost respect. The Secwepemc have a tradition of singing and praying before harvesting any food and medicines and other materials from the land. Also, the Secwepemc also believe in receiving messages from animals and birds which tell them when to harvest and gather certain foods and medicines. One example of this is crickets telling them when it's time to catch the salmon fish. Now I would like to hand over the presentation to Ben, who will enlighten us on the political, religious, and economic impact of wind renewable energy.
Thank you for that, Abhinav. Today I'm going to categorize the implication into 3 aspects: political, religious, and economic. First and foremost, let's review this magnificent poetry, which is written by Brendan Bob, a former Canada service agent. The morning prayer, the wind listens. Hear my heart, hear my spirit, and hear my word. Economic impact. In 2019, there are around 1.73 trillion as GDP of Canada. But however, if you look at the bar charts on the right side, the non-operation peoples receive a higher payment than the operation people. According to AANDC, suggests that the operation people are poorer than the non-operation people can be explained by the lower education level and relative youth. And installing some wind turbine in Kamloops can significantly reduce the disparity between the non-operation people and operation people. This will substantially increase the education coverage for the next generation, which results more appreciable payment after graduated. On average, a 33% efficiency wind turbine can support over 402 kW per hour per month. In comparison with the population of Tk'emlups, the energy generated is sufficient to support the entire community. In nowadays, the Tk'emlups population is around 1,412 people. Ecological and religious impact. Geological benefits shows Tk'emlups Lake is actually have a geological benefit, which is situated on the Thomas River just west of the Tk'emlups, which comprise a lot of ridges and valley. Tk'emlups consider wind as their mother. Other than utilizing the power, indigenous people could consider wind as a precious gift from the natures. Tk'emlups Lake is the best place to install the wind turbine. Conforming to the standard requirement of the wind turbine installations, in order to propel the fan to rotate, the rotational velocity of the fan must be higher than 50 km per hour. In fact, there already exists a practical example which is called the wind farm project at Helmer Lake. It's conducted by a colonial businessman. He tried to erect a wind turbine near the Tk'emlups and Merits, and he tried to sell this energy to BC Hydro to exchange money back. Also, he claimed that the initial installation fees, around 100 millions, is enough power to support 10,000 homes. Although the wind turbine installation fee is as expensive as we expected, a more compelling research has indicated the prospective potential of wind turbine as renewable energy source bringing to humanity is unlimited. Thank you for listening, guys. I would now like to hand over to Erik to take us to some of the environmental consideration.
Thank you, Ben. There are a number of environmental aspects to this project that the TEKUMLUPS TE community will need to consider, both positive and negative. First, I would like to talk about the positive environmental aspects of wind energy for the community. Wind energy produces zero direct air pollution while in operation, so it will not contribute to air pollution in the community. Table 1 shows a comparison of wind energy with other energy sources with relation to the category of habitat impacts. Wind energy scores the cleanest as apart from initial construction and installation, its impact on the environment is minimal. Wind energy also requires much less water consumption than other, more conventional power sources. Now I'd like to touch on some of the negative environmental impacts of wind energy for the community. One consideration is the birds that will be killed by the wind turbines while in operation. Figure 1 shows bird deaths caused by wind turbines compared with other factors in the US annually. Proper positioning of a wind farm in an area does not significantly reduce bird deaths. However, the risk to birds is small when compared to that of climate change and other factors shown in Figure 1. Wind turbines should be placed no closer than 750 meters from residential areas due to the high noise of the turbines and flickering shadows during parts of the day, which will restrict where they can be constructed around the TEKUMLUPS TE community. Now, I would like to hand off to Shawn, who will be speaking about how we plan to approach consultation with the community.
Thank you, Erik. Hi, my name is Shawn, and today I'm going to speak on the approach we'll be taking into consultation with the TEKUMLUPS TE community. I'd like to begin by mentioning that we as engineers have a responsibility of listening and designing for the needs of the community rather than assumptions. Our approach to consultation considers key factors based on consultation with the community that have occurred in the past. The first past consultation process I'm going to speak on is about the logging dispute with the International Forest Products and West Fraser Mills Company. The conflict originated when the following two companies began logging 4 areas within traditional territory without consideration of the impacts it may cause to the community. The result of this logging led to deforestation, which significantly decreased the habitat for animals. In addition, it caused the disappearance of streams used by the community for hunting. It also led to the destruction of plants used for cultural and medical purposes. The TEKUMLUPS TE community eventually took this dispute to the Supreme Court of British Columbia with the legal battles ongoing. The next past consultation process was the proposal for the Ajax mining project, which was planned to begin in an area known as Pipsel. The land in Pipsel is known for being very sacred to the TEKUMLUPS TE community, as it has a historical, cultural, and spiritual presence to it. Had this proposal been approved, the mine would have destroyed part of Jackal Lake, which would cause irreversible damage to Pipsel. The TEKUMLUPS TE Nation ended up withholding consent of allowing the project being built on the land, and it was completely disregarded. Now, this is an opportunity to recap what we've learned from past mistakes of other companies. The first factor is avoiding the building of projects on sacred land, which is valued very highly by the community. Although this may seem obvious to some, it is something we must constantly emphasize. A second factor is steering away from project building near historical keystone sites located on traditional territory. This is done by actively communicating with the TEKUMLUPS community. Another factor is keeping away from cultural and spiritual areas where the community go to meditate and bond. An additional factor you must emphasize is environmental considerations. It is our duty to respect and take precaution because destruction to the environment affects the community's way of life. The final factor is making sure our wind power project has a feasible and sustainable solution that will provide the community with renewable energy while still honoring their land. With that being said, I'd like to conclude this presentation, but before I let you go, I want you all to really reflect what was presented today. I also want you to think about why it is important for us to protect and honor Indigenous identity as settlers in their land. Thank you all for attending today's presentation, and here's our references if you'd like to learn any further information.